In the city of Hot Springs, Arkansas, you can't miss the water. It is everywhere. Bubbling out of the fountains, steaming up the sidewalks, and on tap at 103 degrees in the center of town. But you just might miss the national park.
I have had people stop me on the sidewalk out front. Where's the national park? How do I get to the national park? And I'm like, well, you're here.
Hot Springs is the smallest of our 59 national parks, and its visitor center is located in the middle of a busy street.
They're expecting the Yellowstone experience where you drive through the little shack and the ranger leans out and hands you a map and don't get run over by a bear. That doesn't happen here.
Ranger Tom Hill is the curator at Hot Springs. In 1832, 40 years before Yellowstone became our first national park, President Andrew Jackson protected this area as a land reservation. Not for its beauty, but for what was underneath the land.
They realized that there was something therapeutic about the geothermal spring water that was coming out of the ground in Hot Springs. They felt better after they drank it. They felt better after they bathed in it.
Hot Springs became a destination for bathing, known all across the world. And while there was certainly some pampering, most visitors were coming with a prescription.
Most people were coming here as their last resort, not because it was a resort. They were coming here because their doctor had tried everything else and it didn't work for whatever the ailment was, whether it was arthritis or whatever.
A regiment of Hot Springs baths was used to treat everything from polio to syphilis. Treatments were coupled with exercise and regular walks, and eventually, electrotherapy. By the 1920s, notables from Al Capone to Rudolph Valentino were all heading to Hot Springs to take the waters. Baseball teams came for some literal spring training. In 1946, the town was serving up 1 million baths a year. But by the 1960s, Hot Springs had cooled down.
The first bathhouse of the bathhouse row anyway to close was this one, the Fordyce, in 1962, because it was the most opulent building. It was the most expensive to operate.
Scientific advancement meant that a hot bath was no longer the preferred way to treat disease. One by one, the houses closed down. All except the Buckstaff, which is the only bathhouse in the park to never shut its doors. Patrons can still experience a series of baths, treatments, and whatever this thing is, much as visitors did 100 years ago. Sure, the water probably doesn't have any magical healing properties, but according to owner Michael Branch, it can still work wonders.
Nowadays, most people use it for stress relief. Most people don't realize how much stress they have in their lives till they slow down.
And at the old Superior bathhouse, they're specializing in a different kind of stress relief.
When I learned I was moving to Hot Springs, I said, well, why is nobody brewing with the hot spring water? It seems so cool.
Rose Schweikart applied through the Park Service to repurpose the Superior bathhouse as a brewery.
I have my pale ale, I have an Irish red ale, I have our Chateaufontaine Noir, which is a Belgian dark ale.
It's the only brewery in a national park.
When you brew beer, the first thing you do is heat up water. So we have water that's 90% of the way heated. We need to heat it a little bit more.
Rose leases the old bathhouse from the park, and it's just the latest in a long line of entrepreneurs drawn to this valley of the vapors.
National parks are not just about preserving scenery and old buildings. It's preserving the human story that happened in all those places too.
It's a story that's still being written, here in the great indoors.